Hi, I'm Steven.
I'm Autumn.
Join us as we explore old forgotten cemeteries
Visit haunted locations,
and communicate with spirits of yesterday.
giving a voice to the voiceless.
Join us on our journey. We are
Myers Paranormal.
Well, hi, everybody.
Hey, y'all.
You got something to clean that camera? Give me just a second. Let me clean this camera. It is smudgy. How about that?
Hope uses it for school, so when she shuts it,
there we go.
She puts her fingers on it. Sorry about that, y'all.
It is good to see each and every one of y'all. Hopefully, y'all are doing good tonight. And right now we have
Damon, stop.
Crossover Paranormal
Hey,
Society.
y'all.
It's good to see you. Thanks so much for coming in.
Play with that.
And hopefully everybody's doing fantastic. Had quite an interesting week last week and another one coming up. So, but well, hi Nancy.
Hey,
it's
Nancy,
good to see
welcome
you.
in. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks so much for coming in. It's good to see you. Sure appreciate it. And thank everybody for coming out. The ones at home that can't comment, just watch back later. We appreciate it. We appreciate each and every one of y'all. Who knew that camera was dirty the whole time? Look how much better it looks. That's great.
That's what you get when you let the 11-year-old use it for schooling.
Yeah, that's what she does. Hi, Daryl.
Hey, welcome in.
It's mighty good to see you.
Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much. Like I said, hopefully everybody's doing good. Thursday, as y'all know, Hope had her little exploratory endoscopy and all that went off without a hitch. Her sugar held on, done good. Just everything went as good as possible. I mean, the only time her sugar dropped, we were actually getting something to eat. So, hi, Bud Files. It's mighty good to see you. Thanks so much for coming.
Welcome in, Sue.
So, she made it just fine. We didn't have any hiccups. And
we're starting on the lesson in a minute. We'll let people come in.
We should be getting results back. They took like 8 or 9 biopsies, just checking for a certain disease that we hope and pray to God she don't have, just because it's so expensive to feed her.
They said the pictures was looking great, that it didn't look like she had it, this celiac disease, but the biopsies, they wanted to make sure.
But
she don't have no reaction to the gluten since we put her back on gluten.
Don't bother her at all. She's just the same old normal annoying Hope. Just kidding. But she did fantastic, and we go back actually Thursday for classes. They're gonna talk. We're gonna be taking the classes to get her on the insulin pump, and we'll take the classes, and it's going to be a few more months, of course, before she ever gets that. But we're going to go ahead and get those classes knocked out of the way. And once we get that done, hopefully we'll be down to just, her every 3-month visits. That's what There's nothing like driving in Birmingham at 4 a.m., 5 a.m. in the morning. No. Let's see if Hope isn't annoying. Yeah,
that's something wrong with her.
Yeah, she does. She's pretty good. She's usually quiet but yes, sometimes she's highly annoying, but she come by it honestly. Oh me, but tonight's lesson, which I know we're still waiting on a few people to come in here, but how I came up with the why pay attention to your surroundings during an investigation, this whole thing came about a story I was writing about. In Gadsden, where we went last year and filmed so many different things, and there's a old haunted bridge, and that the whole story, with the ghosts and everything, but I just started thinking to myself, how many ghosts are there involved around water and bridges? And, the why part. Well, hi, Jenna.
Hey.
It's mighty good to see you. Thanks so much.
You for coming.
And Cassie, thanks so much. Good to see you.
We thank all of y'all for coming and joining us today.
Yep. And maybe, I don't know, maybe the why part as why there's always some kind of tragedy going around water, but there's always usually ghosts associated with water. And of course, I think it's because of the energy source, but thinking about that, when I say, of course, the title is Pay Attention to Your Surroundings. When you're on a location and you're walking the outside, of course you want to know if there's water around. Is there limestone around? Because is there power lines around? Because that's going to be your fuel for the spirits. And
I thought the title, or if you trip on something.
Well, I mean,
that's what I thought
That's all part of it, yes.
Because our first nighttime investigation, there's at the graveyard, there's big stakes.
Yeah.
In the graveyard, and
yeah, they were like this long and they were sharp.
If you don't have a flashlight, you would.
If you fell on
it.
Yeah, I mean, that's also part of it, but that wasn't really the way I was going with it. But, and like I say, when you're on that investigation and you're walking around, what would your energy source, what could it be? Are there power lines over top? Yes. That is also correct. An artesian well is also a water source, and that could be which that's interesting. I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. But yes, that the water, an artesian well is, it's usually a massive like cave underground with water in it. And the spirits tend to stay around a place that has that energy source, or where the tragic event happened, or where they're buried. But that could also affect, and like an artesian well. It's a good thing to know if that's there, because it can affect when you're investigating with dowsing rods. You could walk across that well and it cause your dowsing rods to cross. And if you don't know that, you can think that you're getting a false positive.
And this goes into debunking your surroundings too.
That's exactly what I'm talking about. The power lines outside. Hi, Auntie Mama. It's mighty good to see you. Thanks so much for coming in. Hopefully everybody's doing good.
Thank you.
But typically an artesian well, you'll burn up your pump before you ever run them dry. It's unimaginable. And usually when they drill an artesian well, it's under pressure, so it'll shoot water so far up it looks like when you strike oil or something. But knowing where that energy source is could be helpful. Also, when you're out walking the property and there's power lines, are you picking up on those with K2 meters?
Yep, and that's when you can't use K2 meters.
Yeah, she said it did, and it scared her to death. Yeah. I know this by experience, and I'm going to kind of get into that artesian well because it has something to do with one of our investigations. But, and then also, of course, the point Autumn made, no, do your walk around in the daytime. That way you know of any kind of obstacles. If it's a residential investigation, had they been doing some kind of work outside and dug a hole, something you don't want to fall into or trip over, or
don't just randomly go in, or you might fall in a grave.
I was about to bring that up. Autumn, we were in an investigation. Autumn's like, "Here, use this flashlight." Well, I take it, and right at my feet, I look straight down, and there's an open grave.
Yeah,
And what does that say?
Yeah, he almost
that
fell
explains
in
a lot. I've got an artesian well and a transformer. Right. Well, hi, Jimmy. It's mighty good to see you. Thanks so much for coming in. Yeah. And if you have a lot of activity going on, the energy from both the natural and unnatural energy fuels it. It gives them spirits something to draw off of. Nope, I'm never mad. We'll leave that to you. But, yeah, whenever you're on an investigation, it helps to know all that because, you know, the limestone, it's rumored that the limestone holds on to like tragic memories and things. And did I say hello to Cassie? If I didn't, we did. I'm sorry. Okay.
Hey, Ace, welcome in.
Hi, Ace. It's mighty good to see you. Thanks so much. And this whole thing come about from where she lives. But the haunted bridge is no longer there, of course. They tore it down and put a new bridge up. But either way, I wrote the story, and it just kind of, I was trying to come up with an idea, and then that just, it popped in my head, and it says, I got it so bad after my husband passed away, a group come in and thought, well, I mean, to lose your husband is bad enough, and then to have
cats,
the activity along with it will make you feel like you're crazy. But the spirits like to hang out where there's energy. I'll just say that. And see, look at that. Limestone bluff, 30 inches down. See? Yeah. All of those things.
And if you want a good investigation, you see us out when it's kind of the weather is kind of bad.
Yes.
Because that helps. They can feed off their energy.
The rain, the thunder and lightning, all of that.
But we're not that crazy. We don't let it get that bad and we're out there.
Yeah, you definitely have the trifecta, that's for sure.
If it's just sprinkling or raining some, we're out there windy, we're out there sometimes.
Yeah, and literally, yes. She lives on a battery. It helps to know those things because it can explain a whole lot of, as to the why are these spirits here? Well, that's because they have an energy source. And it may not have nothing to do with what happened in your lifetime. It could have been past lives. And they're definitely not going anywhere with that kind of energy.
Bluff. Yeah, you want to know if there's a bluff around if you're walking around aimlessly in the dark.
And now it's back to the artesian well. The Edith house, there is one there, and that artesian well is so big, every house on the entire block had well water that tapped into it, and it was every one of them. It's so big that it all is tapped into the same water source. And even during the drought, they don't run dry because there's so much water there. But and I think that may be why the mountains around us, like Appalachia and stuff, are so jam-packed with paranormal, unexplained, and cryptids and aliens and all that, because it is such like there's artesian wells and there is limestone throughout and water, and just the ground is always saturated with water. And sadly, of course, to bring up Hurricane Helene, that's why that happened, because the mountains in North Carolina and East Tennessee, they're always, they're maybe dry, but down in there's a lot of water. And then when you get 25 and 30 inches of water, of course, the whole mountainside gives away. And that has to be the reason why there's so many strange things that go on there. And crazy cat.
You just came in.
The Edith house, all the things that, let's see, limestone, quartz, water, and iron is a gigantic battery that holds on to electricity. 3 houses here on the same source, but the water is bad. It's irony. Yeah. Typically, you'd have to have a filtration system for that, or put some. They have things for that you can get to fix that, but they have specialists for that, well diggers. But now here's something that'll kind of blow your mind. Mom and Dad, which owned the Edith house, when they first had that thing drilled, the water was murky, and until the 4th house drilled, it never ran clear. But once the 4th one dug in, then it ran so clear, and it was always so cold and cool, and it's so good. Right? Yes. That's why we did it, because we couldn't afford the pump. But I don't like the taste of city water. And I've threatened to go back over there and get one of those well bucket things that you can put down it, draw water and drink, because boy, that's good stuff. But knowing these kind of things about the location, that'll help with your investigation. It can answer questions, as to mostly why are these spirits here? Because, why would they leave? They got so much energy and power there that they can draw from. And let's see. Yep. Witch whales. I've done that. Walked all over this place, and it hits everywhere. Yep. Water witching is where you take a Y-shaped stick, and it's a certain kind of tree. You spread out on it, and whenever you walk over water, it drops. Like you can feel it drawing you. It's crazy. Of course, you can do the dowsing rods to it, the same kind of thing. But I tell you one thing, me and my dad went riding the roads one time, and we saw this old man beating the ever-loving crap out of his grandson. And we was like, man, what did he do? And he said, he broke my water witching stick on purpose. That old man got ill over that. Because, they're sometimes a good water witching stick's hard to find. So, what is that? I use copper dowsing rods, those peach limbs tore up. Right, yeah. Yep. Which we actually keep, the dowsing rods in our little kit, which we don't hardly use them because of the weather.
Windy.
Yes.
It seems.
Windy weather, and of course, some locations you don't know nothing about them and can't find out nothing, and you hit the same spot, and that kind of, if we're using them and we're walking and we're asking a question and it crosses and opens back up. If we walk somewhere else and go to that same spot and it does it without asking a question, it's because there's a water source there. So that's why we try to debunk our stuff. Can we get that to happen again without asking a question? Of course, sometimes it don't. Most of the time you can't. So, but you crazy thing. There we go. But knowing the surroundings of that, I mean, it's so important to the investigation, and it also helps, like if you're inside the location investigating and say you hear something outside, it's good to know what's out there already. So when you take off running to see if there's somebody out there or is there an animal, a critter, whatever, it's helpful to know where you're going.
You don't trip on your face.
Yes, so you don't fall over something or whatever. And to me, being aware of the surroundings is also part of being professional, like we talked about last time. Knowing and finding out every single thing that you can. And also, walking the grounds, you may come across maybe the woods around the place. You look, not necessarily saying go into the woods, but as you're walking along and you're glancing into the woods, do you happen to see some field stones laying out there in a row that could be an unidentified cemetery? That could, if nothing's ever happened that you can find, nothing that of's ever happened there, and you can't find any history on it, but you look out in those woods and you're sitting there and you see those little field stones. Well, that could be an unidentified cemetery, and those spirits from that cemetery are coming to where you're at, or they could have been previous owners. That's part of knowing your surroundings. How close do you live to a cemetery? That's another one. Are you just down the road from one? And typically the ones that's buried in that cemetery, most of the time, they were from the immediate area. So maybe you're in a neighborhood and you keep seeing like something walking down the road. Is that a spirit walking home? Could it have been like a neighbor or something? I mean, knowing what's going on around you, and has there been an accident at the crossroads that's just up the road a piece? All those things matter, because if your house is an energy source and something tragic happened just down the road, maybe the spirit from that location's coming to where you are, and I mean, yeah, that's just where they came there, because it's an energy source, and maybe they're looking for help, and they're using the energy there, trying to move things to get you to notice them, to help them, find an answer. So said, I'm glad I dropped in. It all explains a lot during that investigation. They got an Indian who told the psychic, I would never sell the place because I like how I cared for the land. Right? Absolutely. He liked how. Yep. And see, here's kind of what makes me feel good about this whole class thing, is what we're teaching is now being verified, like by Janice. She's like, yeah, I have this. I have the water well. I have this, all those different things. The limestone, the quartz, and all that around. That makes me seem like I ain't crazy, and I'm crazy. But about 2 weeks later, an old lady down the road stopped to tell me they have Indian graves in the back corner. See, wow. Yep. See, all of those things, it plays in, maybe, I'm pretty sure that the Indians buried their dead pretty close to where they were at, So maybe where your house is on that bluff, the natives could have had their little camp right there overlooking the land, or maybe that particular spot was a precious spot, because it made them feel closer to their, I don't know if you call them their gods or what. I don't know what you'd say, but spirits. There we go. Hi, Crossover Paranormal. Welcome back. Yeah, it's sacred ground and closer. It makes them feel closer to the ancestors and the spirit, and have an Indian marker tree on the backyard of the creek. Oh, wow. That's cool. And in case y'all don't know what an Indian marker tree is, it's a tree that goes up. It bends sideways and then goes up again. Those were used by the Native Americans, that were passing through, to know that, like that one was used for the water source, the creek. And it's typically pointing toward the creek or whatever, but letting them know that there's a water source nearby, or maybe there's a sacred place, or the burial ground. It's usually pointing somewhere. It has significant, it's pointing a direction towards something. I bet it's the creek, because that would be, the natives that were traveling through would need water, of course. So, and well, hi, Haunted Truth.
Hey, welcome in.
Welcome
Thank you for coming.
Have you ever encountered something that makes you feel angry inside, and then feel nauseous, dizzy, that affects you? If so, well, typically that's going to be one of two things. It's going to be an angry spirit, or something that's not a spirit at all. That's more like a malevolent, like demon or something. Because typically spirits, they are how they are whenever they die, pretty much. And if it was just
unless you keep on taunting them, they could change.
Yes, it was. If it could be a mean old person that died and just they're playing tricks, but normally whenever it makes you feel angry, sick at your stomach, dizzy, it's typically not something to mess with. It's probably a bad spirit, more than likely.
I haven't felt angry, but I do feel nauseous sometimes.
It's a strong spirit as well. And
I do need to step away, but I never feel angry. I just feel sick.
The one with the tobacco, the ashy, that's part of it.
Yeah.
And see, that marker tree points to the creek. Yeah.
But yeah, if you feel like that, it's time to back away and leave, and tell her not to come with you.
Yeah, I
pray
was worried
to
about
your being that you believe in.
I didn't want to say, but the place I went to was said to have had that there. It happened to me. I had a bad panic attack. See, typically, if you're on an investigation, of course, this is part of class right here. Typically, if the place that's said to have that, I absolutely recommend no equipment. Like, this is just when you first get there. Don't use any equipment. Don't use any apps. Don't say anything to anybody. Just you and someone else. Walk the place. Typically, as you're walking, you'll feel that's where the area that you felt the anger, the nauseous, the dizziness, and confusion at. Keep that in mind. Back investigating, that would be an area where you set up your equipment, and when you start getting, through your apps, and when you're using apps, or you're just asking questions, letting them respond with whatever you have, when you start getting bad answers, like hateful and angry answers, that's typically a evil presence. And of course, you have to ask the homeowners. We've been to locations where they say you can investigate, but do not cross anyone over or cast out anything. Leave it alone. So in that case where you experience that, and well, hi Kenny Weaver.
Hey,
mighty good to see you. Thanks so much. And if you feel comfortable and you know what you're doing, that would be the point to where I would be using the sage and the holy water and all that, and make that presence leave. But if it's affected you in this way to where you have a panic attack, you don't feel comfortable, well, that's when I would completely avoid that area altogether and consult. That's when you would consult another paranormal group, or it doesn't have to be paranormal either. If you go to church, that's when you would consult with pastor and have him come out, when him and his trusted few, and that's when you do a cleansing on that house. But it's all, what were you trained for? What are you comfortable with? It's all up to you. If it's something that's, but you feel that it's more than you are, back away. And hello, Adele. It's mighty good to see you. Thanks so much for coming in. Let's see. I left the entire place, walked out to calm down and ground myself. Another member with us caught on the spirit box, the bad boy saying stuff, but it was in his own voice coming through. Yeah. See, that's not going to be an evil spirit. That would be way worse. Like, that's I consider that worst case scenario when you're dealing with demon type spirits that are malevolent. That, to me, that's worst case scenario, and that's something you have to prepare for. When you come across that and you know that you're going to be coming face to face with that, that is when I recommend, not all Christians and whatever believe it, but the fasting and praying, for a whole day at least, nothing but fast and pray, whether it's you're a higher being or God or whatever you believe in.
And you can't go in with fear.
And don't go in with fear, and have somebody with you that have your back. Or like I said, that's when you contact somebody that other than yourself if it's too much. In a
place like that, you never separate.
Yeah.
You have a buddy.
Yeah. And Adele says, I went visiting a local cemetery early yesterday morning. It was great. After initial curiosity, I didn't really sense anything other than a cold chill in my back. Sometimes, most of the time, that's how cemeteries are. You go in there and they're quiet, they're peaceful, they're inviting. We've only ever been to a couple of all of the 300 or 400 videos or 500, 600 places that we've been to, only one sticks in my mind, cemetery-wise, that was that way, and that's the King family cemetery. Boy, that place there had something absolutely terrible. Thanks for the info and confirming what I was a bit scared to admit. Hey, and that right there, don't let it hurt your pride. Don't let it make you feel that you're not worthy to investigate. And we all have our points to where that's enough. You just stay true to yourself. That's what I say.
If you're not scared of something like that, you're not human.
It's all natural as a human being to be afraid of that. And just because somebody says, come on, it's nothing, go deal with it. If you feel like it's too much, then
if you feel in your gut you need to walk away, walk away.
Yes, that's your inner voice saying, that's enough. And you need to listen to that, because that'll keep you out of much, much trouble. And your inner voice it'll save you some time and trouble. And like I say, don't let anybody belittle you because of that. Eventually you'll get to a point to where, hey, you know what? And if you don't ever get to the point to where you want to face something like that head on, that's also fine. We all have our lines, and we draw them and we stick to them, and don't let anybody belittle you, because that's not what the paranormal field's about. And you just do what is comfortable, and that's just how it goes. And then she said, I made it clear that I meant no harm. I was in a rough area, and I spent a few moments visiting people's resting place. I just want to go back, scrub and brush and buckets and clean up, right? That'd be awesome.
And they appreciate when you pick up and clean up.
Yeah, we find so many that's in disrepair. And the King Cemetery is actually Jared King TV. This was actually his personal family cemetery. And I'm not going to say that there's an evil presence there, because I don't think it's that. I think that of an event happened many years ago where a bunch of kids came in through, and they driving their trucks through the cemetery, destroying it. And after that, they're leery of anybody coming in there. But at the same time, I don't know. There's a statue of Jesus that it looks like it's absolutely evil. We've seen the same statue somewhere else, and it just didn't feel the same.
But I would be mad, anybody would be mad, if you came up into their home, and destroy their resting spot.
Kenny said the doll isn't speaking. I didn't turn the voice on today. I thought it was quiet tonight. Yeah, I didn't. I forgot to turn this on, but
yeah. So.
And I want to ask permission first. Yeah, that is. Of course, I mean, most of them don't mind. I mean, as far as touching stones, they might, but picking up trash and that kind of thing, they don't. But it's always good to ask permission, of course. But yes, when you're on an investigation and there's something that happens and you're just like, this might be too much, that is your gut. That is your inner spirit. That is your spirit guide saying it's time to back away before something happens. And listen to that. That, like I say, that inner voice will absolutely, it'll guide you out of the trouble, keep things from happening to you. And they do, after you clean up, go back, I bet you'll find a lot of bird feathers, right? Spirits thanking you. That's right, yeah. They leave little gifts, and soap can damage a stone. clearing it is a good thing.
What is
they have special cleaner? I think it's called K12 or something that you just spray on it, and it's one that you don't have to wipe off. Like if you have the little green stones, you just spray this stuff on and leave it, and it works with time. The more it sets out in the sun and all that, the more it works. But when you're doing investigations, always follow your inner spirit, because that right there is gonna, like I say, it's gonna keep you out of trouble. And then if something's too much for you and you walk away, that is absolutely fine, and don't let anybody tell you any other different. Because like I say, we really have our limits. That's interesting. I was approached by scrub turkey while amongst the plots. Wild birds came right up and checked me out while standing on. See, I know a lot of people don't believe in reincarnation at all, but I still believe that if it's not them, they're sending them your way. And when I buried one of my really awesome friends, where we turned at to enter the cemetery, there was eagles flying right there. And the whole time that we was burying him, doing the service at the grave, there was eagles flying everywhere. And eagles are not known in that area. And, it could be the spirit themselves, or it could be them communicating through the birds. I don't know, but it's special. But let me see. It's D2. That's it. It's all you got to do is type in headstone cleaner, and it's called D2. And they make different things that's specifically made for the stones that won't cause them to erode. Or you can actually get it on Amazon for like $11 for a small bottle of it. But it's called D2. That's when I was thinking it was K, but it's D. And let's see. I'm wondering if it was a watchman of some kind. Yes, it probably was. Yeah. Now let's get to this one. What would you suggest for protecting yourself when going into a cemetery? It can be as simple as a simple prayer
to your being, whatever you believe in.
Yeah, your spiritual being. Please protect me, and keeping the, just be positive, and know if you're sick or you're not feeling well or your negative thoughts, that'd be a day not to go. Using the sage, simple olive oil, and drawing the cross on your forehead.
Holy water. Stones.
As you can see, we have all kinds of stones up here.
Small stones too. We can carry.
There's endless things that you can do. Simple prayer goes a long ways. And like I say, knowing your limit and listen to your gut, and protecting yourself. And when you go into a location, making it be known that you're as a friend. You just want to be there to give them a voice and be heard and be known. And you're not there to do any, you're not there in any negative way. And all of that usually plays together, and it makes out for a pretty good investigation. Unless, of course, there's something malevolent there, and then they're definitely not going to be about it. But like I say, we just have our limits, and we stick to them. Said I meant no harm or something, and then a magpie did the same as I was leaving. Yeah. cemeteries have a protector, and sometimes it's, I don't know, it's kind of like when you're raised one way, they teach you that reincarnation is not true and all of this, but it's just whatever you
get older, you learn to believe
whatever you want. Yeah. And
go your own way.
Yeah.
And on here, anybody can come in and believe what they want to believe.
Yeah.
That's why we say pray to your own being that you believe in.
Yeah, into your spiritual being, because some don't believe in God, and that's fine. I mean, that's, everybody has their own thing, and we're all one big family, and it takes all each little parts to make one big picture. So, but when you're investigating, if you feel unsafe, that would be the time to back up. And just like the Haunted Truth said, they left the location, they grounded themselves, and been going in a bit blind into locations. I actually started off skeptical, but having my eyes open now, learning these things are real. Right. And
like we say, we're not professional, but
we're not.
We just learn as we go, and research is a big key too.
To be an amazing investigator, I'm going to tell you this right now. It's best to go in from the skeptical side and always try to disprove everything that you can.
Yeah, debunk.
Because if you can disprove it, so can somebody else. But it's the things that you cannot disprove that make it all worth the while. And when it comes down to evidence, that's part of being aware of your surroundings. Was it cold that night? Was you holding the camera to your face? Did it catch that mist that went across? Was that on a cold night? Was that your breath? I mean, that all comes down to being aware of your surroundings and the weather and everything. So, the living truth, the living have proceeded over the dead. Presidents move with that knowledge, and if it doesn't pay attention to that knowledge, come back with somebody who can deal with the evil. That's right.
Those you do.
Well, hello.
Hey, welcome in.
Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing good, and everybody else is too.
We just went back to a location that I stepped away from. Was it last year?
Oh, well, hi, Jesse. It's good to see you,
welcome.
Too.
Thank you for coming.
I liked her video that she did at Chickamauga. Yeah. I want to go so bad.
I stepped away. What was it? I was just standing there, and all of it was between two stones. And all of a sudden, I started coughing out of nowhere, and it felt like somebody crammed cigarette butts down my throat.
The ashes,
yeah. And it tasted bad, and I had to just step to the side, and I just couldn't stop coughing, and I felt like I was just heaving, trying to throw it up, and I knew Stephen had to run and get my water. Yeah. And it took a while for me to stop.
Yeah. And that wasn't necessarily a evil thing.
I think they was trying to show me how they died, because on the Spirit Talker, first they were saying burning, and then it said lungs and
fire and all. That was an investigation for sure. And of course, we didn't have nothing like that happen when we went back either. But
I'd like to keep going back to the location. I don't want it to happen again, because I was burping up that nasty taste all day until I got back.
Yeah.
And cleansed and took a shower and all that.
Yeah.
But
just coming home after an intense investigation, taking a good hot bath with lavender and all that, it grounds you, and it helps.
Just saging yourself.
Yeah, it definitely helps. So, kind of want to go back and investigate as a stonemason symbols on a few headstones. Yep. And I know they know you know and are now concerned for them. Right? Yep. It pretty much if you make it known why you're there and right. Yeah. It helps after an investigation that's intense, after like the haunted truth, that particular thing that they went through, something like that helps you recover from that. And typically when me and Autumn, before we do an investigation, we really try to walk through it. And there's another one, the naturals, minerals and the Epsom salts, another one.
Yeah.
But we try to we just try to walk through it and take pictures, because if we know that the place is negative, that's when we have to be concerned, because we have hope and she has the health conditions and they can see that and they may feel that she's vulnerable and try to go for her. So we really do try the best that we can.
Because she mostly have to tag along and stay out of the cemetery.
Yeah, we usually leave her separate out of the cemetery, or if she's in the cemetery, she's like by a tree, and we make it known right off the bat, you stay away, you don't touch, you don't talk, you don't communicate, you don't connect, all that.
And that's why this year we haven't did nothing major like last year.
No, we didn't. We're not going to go to Octagon Hall and that kind of stuff this year, but maybe next year once we get everything settled, because like I say, we're still learning the childhood diabetes thing and trying to get everything. As far as her health goes, she's doing actually fantastic, but we're still trying to learn all the ins and outs, and we get something to learn and they're like, well, here, come learn this, and they're throwing something else at us to learn. So we're catching on. She's doing good. And speaking of Chickamauga, open the book. Old Green Eyes. There it is. Old Green Eyes. He's at Chickamauga there. Pretty fairly well-known spirit. But guys, hopefully y'all enjoyed that. And I absolutely appreciate Jana in there. That really helped along, and Nancy and everybody that was, in the chat helping along, and Haunted Truth.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate you asking the questions and trusting us enough to answer them. That's
I really
awesome.
Enjoy these classes. Everybody tunes in and answer our questions, and they give us questions to answer and just gives us feedback.
Yeah. And this whole topic just come out of nowhere and then completely guys, I think if we all share things, that's right. We're one step closer to discovering it. That's right. And that's what these are about. Yeah. And it's I like how things work out. I don't believe in coincidences at all. This topic just popped in my mind, and then Jana going through her experiences and all these little things. I had no idea nothing about it. I had never talked to Jana about it really at all, and what she went through and what we're teaching on just went together, and that's how we know that this is meant to be. So, and it makes the classes worth it.
Yeah.
Like I said, we appreciate each and every one of y'all, and hopefully y'all enjoyed it. And next week, I don't know what we'll come up with. We'll come up with something. So until next week, guys, we'll see y'all later.
Bye, y'all.